it's really important to reflect on what you value as a person, as a professional, and realize what you're looking for.
In searching for a job, in terms of determining whether or not it is a good fit, really listening to your gut feeling.
There's all kinds of jobs out there, and you just need to find the one that's right for you, or else you'll jump from job to job or burn out.
I think it's important to think about geographically, what does this part of the country offer? As a wheelchair user, moving from the East Coast to the Southwest was also a factor in where I looked at graduate schools and why I continue to stay here in Tucson. For me, it's very accessible. It's flat and dry, and it's much easier to live in a place that is flat and dry.
Work-life balance for me, location. I needed to find a place that I felt like was giving back to the community, not just business.
I want to surround myself with people and in a community that will celebrate who I am as much as I can celebrate who they are.
I say make sure you find somewhere that you feel supported.
The U of A in particular is very accessible and considers disability part of the larger conversation on diversity and social justice. Personally and professionally, I have to see that. It has to be reflected in my workplace and in my community, or it would just not fit for me.
If you can't be yourself when talking to a company or working for someone, then you're not going to be happy there, and you're just going to want to end up leaving anyway.
So as the president of our LGBT and allied group, I have also come out publicly in our company to say that I am a gay man. I think that has been helpful for me to be my authentic self in my organization, but also for it to lend itself to conversations with employees that needed education or wanted to understand better the community itself. They know they can always come to me. I think it's important for people, students specifically, who are looking at companies that might identify as LGBT, to understand if that's important to you and you want to be able to bring your authentic self to work, you need to look at what the company's policies are around LGBT benefits, if they have employee groups, if they're engaged in the community itself. And so I think it's really important in the research that you do prior to applying to the company, but also in the follow-up questions that you ask in an interview. It's okay to ask those types of questions just to understand if it's part of the culture, if those resources are available, and if not, can you come to that organization and really spearhead that change for them? And if those things fit, then the company might be the right fit for you. If they don't offer those things, then maybe you have to ask yourself, is this the company I want to apply to or be part of for the future?
If you have that gut feeling that it's not a right fit, then why are you wasting your time there when you could potentially be moving forward in a different path that's more aligned with what you're meant to be at?
That's where the comfort level thing comes back again to the identity, is like, are you happy with where you're at? Can you change that? And if you can't change that, can that be something that you can change in yourself, or is that something that you're not going to compromise on?
They should be pretty savvy about looking at marketing, looking at messaging on websites, looking around at your interview and seeing who's on your panel. Who would your supervisor be? Who's in leadership positions versus who's in entry-level positions? Looking to see yourself in that culture, whether that's on a college campus or in a business or company. Because I think it's important to be able to see yourself as a successful and contributing member of a community. And if you don't, I don't know that you could be as successful as you could be otherwise.
I identify as a gay Latino male. And when I go to interview for a company, I don't say this outright, but when it comes down to knowing their culture, if that starts to become apparent that they don't celebrate the LGBT community, they don't celebrate the Hispanic community, that's not a place where I want to be.
It's taken me some time to be comfortable about communicating my disability. I was diagnosed with a form of macular degeneration called Stargardt's. So I only see 20/80 in both eyes. I think there's sometimes a stigma with having a disability. I knew that it was important to communicate my story and to share it and to be transparent with them that if you need help, you gotta ask for it, and you need to self-identify yourself as needing these resources.
I would rather personally work for a company who is going to celebrate my self-identity than force myself to wiggle into a certain box, because that's where I think I want to be. Having the self-respect for yourself and saying, this is who I am, I'm gonna go find somebody who will celebrate that with me.
So no matter where you're coming from or who you are, be honest about it. When you're telling your perspective, sometimes those stories are intriguing to the people who are interviewing you. So don't think I shouldn't tell it because it'll tell where I came from. That may get you the job. And so whether you're a female, whether you're a diverse background, ethnic or race, whether you're transgender, LGBT, you tell your story.
Do you have to disclose Why would I disclose? When would I disclose? And that's really a personal choice and dependent very much on where that student is in their identity process, their developmental process. I mean, I think there's a lot of research that would indicate everyone learns better and learns more when you're surrounded with diverse peers.
It's definitely brought even innovation to GoDaddy. So, having conversations around LGBT rights or what it means to recruit in a Latino community or an African American community, or to have conversations about health and wellness have impacted our benefits plans.
One of the things that really kind of kept me in the job that I was at previous to this, working for a mining company, was the diversity. I was hired along with several other people of color, and that was something that I really thought was awesome about that particular company. And I very much enjoyed working with those people because I got different perspectives that I would have never known about.
In some ways, it can almost be an advantage because we need diverse opinions about things.
I think in the workplace, that's ever expanding kind of global world that we live in and global business world that we live in, working with folks from diverse backgrounds is the norm. And it's going to make you, I think, a better colleague, a better supervisor, when you can empathize with people, when you have a sense of where they're coming from and you're open to learning more.
The job market, I believe it's changing. I'm the first female director for the Department of Veteran Services. I think I'm the first African American director too. Those are two diverse aspects of myself that are first for that particular department.
More and more as we start to value diversity in the workplace, cultural competency, disability is diversity. And so you bring that to that organization, you bring that to the community. That is a value added perspective. So I think you can connect your own personal experience to larger organizational values around inclusion and diversity and social justice.